Tonight, how President Trump has gamed the media into trusting Sessions, and Facebook and Twitter called out by Q again, as well as President Trump. Plus, Hillary Clinton's emails have even more scandalous things about them than we thought. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. For those of you who don't know, every episode I start the same way. I say thank you to everyone who has hit that subscribe button. You guys know there's always new subscribers, so thank you. If you haven't hit that button, please come here on the landing page, click the big red subscribe button. So here we're going to go. We're going to get right into it. We have so much to cover. This is awesome. So first thing here, we have Q telling us a message for tomorrow. So let's read this really quickly. This is the last post from Q. If you guys want to get caught up on the latest Q posts, which we went over in the last video, I encourage you all to come here to the landing page, scroll down and watch these last few videos. They're going to catch you up to where we are at, and they'll give you a good insight as to what's going on. Plus, if you're scratching your head going, what's QAnon? Please share this video and watch it. Watch it yourself and then share it with your friends. Or you could share it first and then watch it. So it's really up to you. But definitely come here and check out this video. It's going to give you a lot of great information as far as what QAnon, the Great Awakening is, how you can get involved, how you can follow the information, how you can find the information, and a lot of other things that I don't like to spend time each video explaining. So that's why I made the video. That's why it's posted at the top. So if you guys want that information, that's where you can certainly feel free to go get it from. So let's read this first Q post. It's pretty hard to read at first glance, but it's pretty easy actually. It says, both chambers, House, Senate, in session tomorrow, where once there was dark, there is now light. Q. And notice that there's a few letters that are specially highlighted there with numbers. Now, what do those numbers and letters correlate to? Well, quite simply, my dear Watson. Just joking. No, they actually, they're referring to the order in which you should put them back together. So D1, E2, C3, L4, A5, and S6. What does that spell? Declassified. It's the abbreviation for declassified, actually, DECLAS. So there you go. But what is going to be declassified? That is really a great question. And maybe there's even more hidden in this message than we may even suspect off the top. So first of all, obviously, if I had to guess off the top of my head as to what is being declassified, it would probably have something to do possibly with the 20 redacted pages from the FISA, because once that's declassified, according to many other sources besides Q, there's going to be a huge amount of information in there that's going to implicate some of the highest level officials in, blatant corruption, blatant criminal activity, blatant abuse of the FISA court, and blatant misrepresentation of facts. All of these different, very, very obvious crimes that they've hidden so far, allegedly, under the guise of national security. So, and to a degree, I agree with that there is something to be said for national security. I mean, this information is really volatile, but in the same token, I have to say, there's really nothing inside of me that wants to keep this information declassified. I feel like it needs to come out, it needs to get aired out, and then we have to deal with it. So people who have committed crimes need to be held accountable and go to jail. And that's just as simple as it is. That's how it works for you and me and everyone else in this country. And I'm sure that's how it works if you're watching this from out of our country here in the United States. Any other country, I'm sure you can attest to the fact that when you break the laws in your country, you are usually held accountable, probably thrown in jail, and your rights are pretty much limited to a bare human rights situation. As a punishment, rightfully so, if you've committed atrocious crimes, as a lot of these people are being accused of committing. Now, one more thing that was super interesting, I found this off of the Great Awakening board over on Reddit. One of the posters commented, I'm sure a lot of other people came to this conclusion pretty quickly, but, and I'm no Serial Brain too, and I very much respect Serial Brain's work, so I'm going to leave the gematria to him. But, interestingly enough, if you put D-class, D-E-C-L-A-S, into a gemetrinator or gematria calculator, this is the number you get, 44. Who was the 44th president of the United States? I can't remember. His name, didn't his name rhyme with a Iraqi dictator? Hussein, that's it. Oh yeah, Barack Hussein. Actually, Barry Soetoro. That's his real name, obviously. He changed his name because it would be better for politics. Even though I don't know what part of him thought changing his name to Hussein would do better politically, but who am I to talk? It obviously worked. We were all basically forced to go through that. So, I mean, that's a little sarcasm, but seriously, that's something I thought was interesting. I wanted to bring it to your attention and let you guys do your own research. As Q says, please logically think for yourself. This is about your critical thinking, your interpretation. Here are the raw facts. I'm just presenting them to you and giving you my take on what they mean. And then you guys, if you disagree or you think something different, go out and do the research and figure it out for yourself and make your own conclusions, because that is so much more important than just believing me or trusting me. Even though I'd prefer if you guys did, I still want you to verify and do your own research. The next post here. Here we go. Q is responding to an Anon who posts this, obviously in response to this D-class message, saying, "Here it comes." And they post this tweet from President Trump, where President Trump says, "The Democrats, none of whom voted for Jeff Sessions, must love him now. Same thing with Lion James Comey. The Dems all hated him, wanted him out, thought he was disgusting until I fired him. Immediately, he became a wonderful man, a saint-like figure, in fact. It's really sick." I can't agree anymore, Mr. President. But it says, "Here comes the red wave just before midterms." And that's what the Anon writes. Q says, "With love comes trust. Schedule changes can be very painful, Q." So what does that mean? The way I read it as of now, the Anon was basically saying that President Trump's gamed the whole lamestream fake news media into loving Sessions, and it's wonderful. I remember a long time ago when we got a message from Q saying trust Sessions, and the more I see this all unfolding, it makes so much sense now. But the mainstream media refuses to believe it, and that being the case, it seems to me obvious that they have an inability to actually see the truth, or they see it and are willfully ignorant. Either way, it's really disconcerting, and it's just another reason to think of them as the fake news media as opposed to the real media. But it is great to see them all so fervently supporting Jeff Sessions, because I cannot wait for that moment when Jeff unseals all those indictments and starts bringing people to trial, and the media is going to be up there going, "Jeff Sessions is a Ku Klux Klan member, and he's a racist and a bigot and a xenophobe," and then I think like other news organizations, especially like us here, will be just rolling back the footage of them saying how much they love Jeff Sessions and how much they adore him, and how he's the only thing that's standing in the way of President Trump firing Mueller and Rod Rosenstein. It's just a joke. Anyway, that's what is very interesting. And schedule changes, I think that might refer to the schedule being pushed forward on the declassification of the FISA, because it's just getting out of hand on the left. I mean, the reality is it's not even just a left thing, because there's people on both sides. You have Republicans, Democrats, you have everyone. But the reality of the situation is that the mainstream media and certain political figures are so deeply involved in a lot of these issues that we're trying to uncover here, that they would be implicating themselves with as guilty if they were to admit a lot of this went on. That's the conundrum I think a lot of them get caught in, and it's a sad time we live in, but it's true. So now the next one here, we get two links from Q, right? Interestingly enough, first one is something that kind of confirms what I said yesterday. Isn't that weird? But a lot of people were saying it, so I was just one of many. But I did put it together on my own and put it together pretty quick. Now, what is that referring to? Well, in yesterday's video, we had Q give us this little doozy. It was about a magic sword, right? It was this video, music video called Magic Sword, or the band was called Magic Sword. I don't even remember. But that's besides the point. They played that song before the operations specialist went in and did an event last night. Now, what event could that have been? Well, obviously it was military related. We had this picture from Q of these military helicopters seemingly either taking off or landing from somewhere, and then you hear him talk that Anon, he points out again, is talking about Magic Sword and the all-seeing eye and everything. And I happen to point you guys over to the fact that this happen, that there was a blast at a airport in Syria. Now, what's special about that blast? I have no idea. Could it have been possibly that the Iranians were maybe bringing weapons in with the help of the Russians to aid factions that were not friendly to the United States? Could that be possible? And we destroyed those? I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. It's a question I really have. So we'll have to wait and see about that. But yeah, you can read the story if you want. They basically said that, one of the bright soldiers over there at the ammunition depot stuck a fork in a, electrical outlet. I mean, I'm saying that facetiously. They said there was an electrical fire. So I'm assuming that that was something that happened. And, but we all know what it might have actually been, which is something that Q had alluded to. And now Q is basically confirmed to us through this other link to a tweet from President Trump saying President Bashar al-Assad of Syria must not recklessly attack Idlib province. The Russians and Iranians would be making a grave humanitarian mistake to take part in this potential human tragedy. Hundreds of thousands of people could be killed. Don't let that happen. So let me ask you something. Is there a province inside of Syria that we are in right now? And is it possible that they were mounting a weapons arsenal to stage an attack? Could that weapons arsenal could have possibly had some sort of chemical weapons? Could those chemical weapons could have been very much similar to the ones that were used previously in Syria to basically stage another international crisis as a diversion from things that were happening in the news? Could it be possibly that the Russians and the Iranians are the ones behind putting those chemical weapons inside of Syria? Is any of that possible? Because it makes me sick to my stomach to think that they're sick enough to do that, if it actually happened. But hey, I'm just one man. It's just my opinion. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments. Magic sword. That's right. We took care of it. And that leads us to this next one. So this next post is very interesting as well. And you guys, I really want to hear your feedback on this post because that's my reading into it. And I mean, I'd like to hear what you think, but I think I asked some pretty spot on questions about what the intent and intention of that, intention of that was with those weapons. Now, here we go. This next one is obviously it's a chain of command chart, shows you exactly who's in charge of the FBI. It started with James Comey at the top. You see Andrew McCabe there under him as the deputy director, followed closely by the different bureau heads, council heads. And then you have in this side bracket over here, you have Lisa Page, the special counsel, who obviously was above most others here and was reported to, obviously, by this flowchart by Peter Strzok. So Peter was actually engaged in a relationship with his boss, presumably, and him, Page, McCabe, and Comey, and others, Baker, Rubicki, seemed to not really mind the fact that they were staging this incredible false Russia hoax in order to spy on the President of the United States. And they're obviously in complete dereliction of duty by letting this occur. So, and or actually being a part of the part of the conspiracy itself. If you read some of their text messages and personal messages between one another, it seems quite suspicious and quite obvious to most outsiders looking in that Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Andrew McCabe, and others had a vested interest in keeping President Trump from becoming the President of the United States at all or any costs. There you go. Now let's read what Q has to say. It says, FBI and DOJ corruption, Federal Bureau of Investigation. James Comey fired. Andrew McCabe fired. Jim Rubicki fired. James Baker. Bill Priestap was a cooperating witness. Power was removed. He was Strzok's boss. Peter Strzok, the counterintelligence, fired. Lisa Page fired. Mike Cortan fired. Josh Campbell fired. And then it gives us these other 6 individuals. Michael Steinbach, John Glacalone, Randy Coleman, Tricia Anderson, Kevin Kleinsmith, Tashina Gower, and Sally Moyer. Department of Justice, quote unquote. I like how Q puts that in quotes. David Laufman was fired. John P. Carlin was fired. Sally Yates was fired. Mary McCord was fired. Bruce Orr had his power removed and is now a cooperating witness. And Q tells us the termination is imminent. So when Q says that, I take that, to be true, that Bruce Orr is going to be fired very shortly. Rachel Brand, she was fired, basically forced. Yeah, nothing to see here. Who ordered? And then it says presidential daily briefing. Now, the reference to the presidential daily briefing, the way I read it in this post, means it is referring back to previous Q posts that have revealed the fact that James Comey, one of his priority concerns that he may or may not have related on a Gmail email private communication that he thought was secret but wasn't, to his little deep state compadres, was that they were having a really hard time figuring out how they could actually keep President Trump from knowing about their illegal activities by somehow altering, changing, or preventing President Trump from receiving his presidential daily briefing. Now, that's how I read it. It could be another reference there, and I'm sure you guys will let me know if it isn't. But that being said, the obvious question is this. Look at the ranks of all these people. Look at them. We're talking about deputy directors. We're talking about directors. We're talking about top-level counsel. We're talking about, assistant directors. These are not the, day one greenhorn FBI agent or DOJ lawyer. These are like top tier individuals vested in a conspiracy with one another, allegedly to undermine the president of the United States, to meddle in elections in the United States, namely the 2016 presidential election, and to influence a campaign of corruption against the president of the United States, to influence and enact, a campaign to to influence the election and to spy on the president. So, look, I know there's a lot to unpack there, but you guys got to watch the previous videos and kind of, if you've been watching this, you'd understand that this is a definitely something that's been recurring. And I just got to tell you guys, it's these people are sick. What can I say? The fact that these top officials, they're all fired. And there's no stories in the media. It's just like, oh, yeah, that's Trump. He's just Trump. Trump's a racist, so he's probably just firing him because of that. That's literally what I feel like some of these people think. But sometimes our feelings can get in the way of facts, as Q would say. So here's the next one. And this is something that I want to give you all a heads up on, because obviously it's saying, what is the common theme when bad news is about to break against them? Stay vigilant, Q. Now, to me, this means if you see something, say something, because there are things that they depend on for distractions, and this has been alluded to by Q, and they depend on these crisis situations to overtake the news cycle when bad news about them is going to drop. So I think we all need to stay very vigilant. If you see something, say something. Don't hesitate to call your local authorities and just tell them, hey, this is what's going on, and I don't think it's cool, and you guys should come check it out. Because the reality is, we are not that far away from what happened on that fateful day in September of 2001, and there's been so much since then. And there are so many reasons why we need to be vigilant every day in every aspect of our lives. And with that being said, I just encourage you all to really stay vigilant, watch out for your family, your loved ones. Don't change the way you live your life. Just enhance your vigilance, enhance your awareness of your surroundings, because that is really what's going to be what'll save you, hopefully, if you're able to detect it before it ever happens. So that's where I'll leave that. And this is obviously Q's telling us about. This is a post he made from back in May 17th of 2018. So these all come in conjunction with times when they know they're going to be outed as the criminals that they are. But it doesn't seem like the media seems to really care. Now here's a great one. This is Q going through something I think is very interesting. So he's saying the experts, quote unquote, the people who are naysayers, the people who disbelieve that John Huber is working with 470 investigators and the IG, Michael Horowitz, on cases that have been ongoing since November, and these are multiple cases that deal with everything from corruption to human trafficking to, I would say all the way to the most evil things you could think of, I would presume. Now, that to me is interesting, but what Q says here is even more interesting because Q gives you like this kind of sarcastic tone of, who, of how people are saying, well, but why not get a second counsel? And, but Huber hasn't interviewed everyone. And, but Sessions and Huber are following the DOJ open ongoing investigation or like whatever, that's what it is. It's kind of a sarcastic tone. So let's read it. I'll refrain from giving you the sarcastic tones. I'll try to read this pretty straight, but I'm going to go through it as we go. So it says, but Sessions should appoint a second counsel or a second special counsel in D.C., aka the corrupt swamp. But I will read it kind of how Q says it's where Q says, but Sessions should appoint a second special counsel in D.C., aka the corrupt swamp. It says team of less than 20 and wait 2 to 4 years, take a gamble. It says, but Sessions should appoint a second special counsel in D.C., aka the corrupt swamp, because unlike the Clinton email corrupt case, as demonstrated by the FBI, DOJ, people fired, removed, this will be conducted faithfully and honestly, like Mueller. It's a joke, but that's what they're saying, right? It says, but Huber has not directly interviewed several witnesses, therefore the appointment of Huber by Sessions and therefore the IG is not genuine. But it says, but Sessions and Huber are following standard DOJ open ongoing investigation policy by not discussing making public, so therefore nothing must be happening. Fire Sessions, right? Great. It says, but Huber ability to prosecute and impanel a grand jury outside of D.C., 90% plus voted HRC 2016, who already began the investigations late last year with a assigned team of 470 investigators, attorneys, plus IG, plus legal jurisdiction across all 50 states, is not a special counsel, so therefore nothing is being done. But POTUS is attacking Sessions via Twitter, so therefore he is not working on behalf of the people's interest or POTUS's. Democrat left trust Sessions. But interestingly, if nothing is being done behind the scenes, why are so many FBI and DOJ senior officials being fired and or removed from their respective positions of power? Who is the Attorney General? Who must sign off on each removal? Department of Justice in charge of FBI? But interestingly, if nothing is being done behind the scenes, why are there 50,000 plus sealed indictments across the U.S.? What percentage equals USA versus X? Coincidence versus Huber start? All right, and I'll get into that in a second. But interestingly, if nothing is being done behind the scenes, why are many powerful CEOs, members of Congress, Senate resigning? Coincidence? Example, pre-POTUS, did the Speaker of the House indicate wanting to leave politics? But interestingly, if nothing is being done behind the scenes, why are human trafficking arrests surging? It says clickbait and opinions versus logical thinking, direct communication necessary, trust yourself, think for yourself, where we go one, we go all, Q. So Q's laying it out here. First of all, Q lays out the full case. Why is a special counsel not as good as having John Huber with the IG and his team of 470 investigators with a jurisdiction across 50 states? Well, that's fairly obvious because Q says right here that typically you only have a team of 20 investigators and it could take 2 to 4 years. And Q's pointing out here also, yeah, let's have a second special counsel in D.C. where 90+% of the people in Washington, D.C. voted for Hillary Clinton. That's a great idea. We'll have grand juries in there, and I'm sure they'll be really, really sympathetic to President Trump and the crimes committed against him. And they won't be biased at all. Yeah, right. But again, he's pointing out all of these things that they're saying, well, Huber it says Huber has not directly interviewed several witnesses, therefore the appointment of Huber by Sessions and therefore the IG is not genuine. Well, how do you know? And Q gave us proof previously that, for instance, Bruce Orr's been interviewed probably about a dozen times, and over half of those times was by Michael Horowitz under President Trump's administration. So, look, what Q's saying is there's a lot of clickbait out there, and this is literally just the way it is. I mean, look at what he's saying. He's saying there's 50,000 sealed indictments, and he's asking us what percentage equals the the United States versus whoever, person one, person two, trafficker one, trafficker two. And speaking of trafficking, Q says, what about the trafficking arrest surging? I mean, I look at stories almost every day where, it seems since President Trump's got in office, there have been thousands of cases open and investigations where they're making arrests against these human traffickers and these child abusers. So, and then Q obviously says, look at the people who resign, look at the politicians, the CEOs. Paul Ryan never planned on stepping down until President Trump came in and they realized that Paul Ryan was a sellout to his, allegedly, a sellout to his country and his party. So there you go. And you can unpack a lot of this. I don't need to really, walk it out for you that much, but it's saying like, we need a special counsel for the Clinton email case. Yeah, okay. Not going to happen. So that's what it is. Remember, think for yourself, trust yourself, and direct communication is necessary. I think that's what Q's saying. This is what the direct communication is. It's laying it out here. I mean, it's plain as day. It's saying, look, these people are criminals. These people have had to step down. We are in the middle of investigations. That's why you can't talk about investigations. And we have to have the ability to conduct an investigation without tampering with it or sabotaging it by speaking about it publicly. But I mean, boy, does the press love Sessions. I just can't wait to see their faces. Really can't. So here's the next one. Kathy, I Hate America Griffin, who wants to tell us that she never thought she'd want Jeff Sessions to stay on as Attorney General, but at this point, it's the only way to guarantee that Mueller and Rosenstein won't be messed with. That's how low we are right now. Well, I hate to break it to you, Kathy, but that's might be how low you think we are right now. But I think the American people as a whole understand that the low that you're willing to go to is beyond the ability for us to comprehend how you can call yourself an American and still act like you have some say. But you're entitled to your own free speech. But I just get really upset when you do things like hold the severed head of the President of the United States, like you just committed an act of murder. That bothers me. That disturbs me as an American. To me, she's a disgrace. She is evil as it gets, and but they have no shame. So it's just one man's opinion. Now the next one here is Trump blast. Q responds basically to this Anon who posted this Kathy Griffin tweet with a keck, and then Q says this, gives us this little put together here that says Trump blasts Sessions. All of these accounts are verified, saying the same thing in chronological order. Who's coordinating their headlines? Who's pulling the strings? Now this is a better picture of the graphic that Q gives us, and here's the graphic, and it's pretty interesting. So literally in a timeline sequence, we start here at 18 minutes, right? We end at 4 hours. So over the span of 4 hours, you had 36 different posts that started, that were all from verified, well-known institutions and Twitter accounts for their quote-unquote media, or news, I should say. But they all start the exact same way. Isn't that interesting? They all say Trump blast, Trump blast, Trump blast. And it's all the same story. Trump blast Sessions, Trump blast Sessions, Trump blast Sessions, Trump blast Sessions. From CNN to ABC to the Washington Examiner to MSM or MSN News to LA Times to you name it. They all are saying the exact same thing here. I mean, that's gotta just be baffling. Why would they all be saying it in unison? Well, you use your imagination. Maybe they're all a part of the same exact thing. I forgot there's another row over here. So there's more. It's probably like 42 of them. But yeah, there you go. So over the span of 5 hours, I should say. So, and it's from every news outlet you can imagine, and this is it. I mean, you don't need to read much more than to understand that they all use the exact same like descriptive word, which is not, that's not a coincidence. There, I mean that cannot be you cannot have this many people all like, yeah, blast will be good. I like that because it's like it implies something drastic, but it really says, something, benign. But I love this one from the LA Times where it says, Trump levels a new blast. Yeah, new blast. So they were actually smart. They actually at least changed the word by one letter. Jeez, these people are stupid. I mean, it's really that funny. Q says it all the time. These people are stupid. It's just beyond me. Okay, now the next one we have a couple interesting ones. So you guys, I don't know if you've heard, the story came out today that Facebook outages, the whole Facebook went down, right? So Q gives us this little graphic here. Well, it's very interesting to read. It's Facebook was created by DARPA to track a person's entire existence. Didn't we just talk about this in the last episode? I'm pretty sure. But it says here that the Pentagon killed the LifeLog project back on February 4th of 2004. And guess what started and was founded on February 4th of 2004? Well, you guys can read it right there, Facebook. Now, it says, are you awake yet? Hashtag Great Awakening. Now, here's a part that's highlighted in the picture. It says, run by DARPA, the Defense Department's research arm LifeLog aimed to gather in a single place just about everything an individual says, sees, or does. The phone calls made, the TV shows watched, the magazines read, the plane tickets bought, the emails sent and received. Out of this seemingly endless ocean of information, computer scientists would plot distinctive routes in the data mapping relationships, memories, events, and experiences. There you go. That's what I said. I mean, this guy right here, look at this face. Look at those eyes. I mean, I don't even know if that's been photoshopped, but this guy looks like the last person I would ever trust. Like if I was walking down a street and or whatever, I'm like in a public place and this guy came up and was like, hey, I'd be freaked out. I don't know how to like describe a social situation where I'd meet Mark Zuckerberg, but yeah, this is just freaky. And anyway, not to get too focused on the aesthetic there, but look, this is what I talked about in the last episode, and Q connected the dots in the last episode that I want to reconnect here really quick to say, look, they want not just to tie everything in about what you do, what you say, what you see, what you do, but they want your DNA. They want you. That's why you have to put your little thumbprint into your Android or your iPhone to open it. They want your thumbprints. They want your DNA. That's why Sergey Brin, who's the head of DARPA, aka Google, is married to, you guessed it, Susan Wojcicki's sister. And who is Susan Wojcicki? Well, she is the CEO of YouTube. Who is Susan Wojcicki's sister? Oh, guess what? She's the CEO of 23andMe. It's not a coincidence. They want to connect everything about you in a central database that apparently they wanted to make into a corporate entity so that it could be corrupted by corrupt deep state officials. That's exactly what it seems like to me. Namely, at our favorite ABC clown organization, the C, A. So, I don't know. I mean, I just want to present it to you, and that's what Q says, so I think we should look at it. Now what Q says is interesting. Facebook outages today at Jack, shadow bans lifted, 24, legal cover pre-testimony. Twitter denies the current adoption of shadow banning, read political viewpoints, etc. No discrimination, etc. Pride ourselves, read no censorship, etc. Open and transparent, etc. Twitter re-engages shadow banning across entire platform. You've been a bad boy. And I think this is saying Nancy Pelosi here. Q. So how does this all make sense? Well, first of all, I think that the Facebook outage today could have very much been connected with either the fact that Q posted yesterday about it, and that was a sign that, I mean, look, Q posted yesterday about, DARPA and Google, and then today the DARPA project LifeLog, aka Facebook, went down. I mean, to me that's not a coincidence, and it's a message, basically being sent that they're not afraid to shut down their project because I mean, no matter what you say to me now, given all the information I've gleaned and learned, in my personal opinion, is my belief that Facebook is and was a product of the government, and it was a product of DARPA and their secret project LifeLog, and that to me is terrifying. Which is me. I'm probably going to delete my Facebook, but that gets into a whole nother realm of issues. So that to me is just fascinating, and yeah, that's what they've done to us. And I think so many people are connected into Facebook that it would be kind of a shame to have to shut it down like that. But at the same time, if this is actually a government, you know, project that has gone way off the rails, then it's going to have to get, you know, reeled back in, and that's going to be pretty unfortunate. But it'd actually be a blessing in disguise, as you all probably would agree. So that's what it's saying. And then when it talks about Jack and the shadow bans, what it's basically saying, in my opinion, is that Jack went and testified, or Jack went out on the whole, you know, circuit and gave all these promises, and you know they testified, and then after, you know, 24 hours before, they lifted the shadow bans, and they were like, yeah, you know, we're not shadow banning because of your political viewpoint. We're not discriminating. We pride ourselves that we don't censor. We're open and transparent. And then as soon as they walk out of that the hearing, oh yeah, re-engage the shadow banning. That's how sick and stupid these people are, because they think that we're not going to notice, and obviously we do. Because, you know, when they turn off the shadow banning, it's funny. My tweets seem to do much better, and then when it's on, obviously you can tell a difference. I can't tell you when it's on or off. I can just tell you that, you know, sometimes I looked at the times when I tweeted and this was happening, and then when I wasn't, and it's funny how you see a difference. That being said, what this is referring to here at the end is saying you've been a bad boy, Nancy Pelosi. I think because Q told us before that Jack was meeting with Nancy Pelosi on, I guess, a pier in San Francisco, having a secret conversation about shadow banning through Twitter, right? Because they're all in bed with each other. That's the problem. That's what the real problem is with the deep state and the swamp, is that they're all in bed with each other. So if you guys have different interpretations, please leave those down in the comments, and I'd love to hear them. You guys can talk about that and kick that can around for a little bit. Now, here's the last post that we have so far, and it is this post that is talking about the IG report, one of the IG reports basically, that was discussing what happened with certain emails and technology that was used by Hillary Clinton and others that ended up causing security or national security threats and eventual breaches of security, as was reported here in this email or in this report. Now let's look at the important pages. So here's the document that Q wants us to look at. And it says, in March of 2009, and it's highlighting the dates, but we'll read through this really quick. It says, after unsuccessful efforts to supply Secretary Clinton with a secure government smartphone, the Diplomat Security was informed that Secretary Clinton's staff had been asking to use BlackBerry devices inside classified areas. The Assistant Secretary of the Diplomatic Security then sent a classified memorandum to Secretary Clinton's chief of staff that described the vulnerabilities associated with the use of BlackBerry devices, and also noted the prohibition on the use of BlackBerry devices in sensitive areas. According to a diplomatic security official, shortly after the memorandum was delivered, Secretary Clinton approached the assistant secretary and told him she gets it, quote unquote. So March 2009 is when they were already asking about using their BlackBerries. So this is when it began. But it says the use of personal email accounts to conduct official business has been a particular concern over the past several years. For example, on March 11, 2011, the Assistant Secretary for Diplomatic Security sent a memorandum on cybersecurity threats directly to Secretary Clinton. A portion of the unclassified version of this memorandum states, threat analysis by the Diplomatic Security Cybersecurity Team and related incident reports indicate a dramatic increase since January 2011 in attempts by redacted. Now, this one I'm guessing is Chinese cyber actors That's my guess, because this all fits in that time frame of the 2010 in China, the CIA assets. There were 18 to 20 assets who were either imprisoned or killed after their identities were leaked or somehow retrieved by the Chinese government. And those men and women's lives, we will not forget, and we have to remember that that's why we're doing this here every day, is for those who cannot do it for themselves anymore, who don't have the chance because they were betrayed by their own country, it would seem. But it says cyber actors to compromise the private home email accounts of senior department officials. These are senior department officials. These aren't just like Joe Schmo down in accounting. This is senior department officials. It says, although the targets are unclassified personal email accounts, the likely objective is to compromise user accounts and thereby gain access to policy documents and personal information that could enable technical surveillance and possible blackmail. The personal email of family members also is at risk. The memorandum included as an attachment a snapshot of affected department personnel, noting that many of the email account owners play major roles in forming diplomatic and economic policy. It concluded by noting, we also urge department users to minimize the use of personal web email for business, as some compromised home systems have been reconfigured by these actors to automatically forward copies of all composed emails to an undisclosed recipient. And that's what we talked about how the question came up, was Hillary Clinton's private email server automatically forwarding all of her emails to unknown or undisclosed recipients, namely possibly the Chinese government. Oh, these people make me sick. It says, following the March 2011 memorandum, the the diplomatic security, cybersecurity staff conducted two cybersecurity briefings of SES staff, the Secretary's immediate staff, and Bureau of Public Affairs staff in April and May 2011. Office of Inspector General discovered in Secretary Clinton's retired paper files a copy of the classified presentation used during the briefing. It contains material similar to the type provided in the March 11, 2011 memorandum. On June 28, 2011, the department, in a cable entitled Securing Personal Email Accounts that was approved by the Assistant Secretary for Diplomatic Security and sent over Secretary Clinton's name to all diplomatic and consular posts, encouraged department users to, quote, check the security settings and change passwords of their home email accounts because of recent targeting of personal email accounts by online adversaries, unquote. The cable further elaborated that recently, Google asserted that online adversaries are targeting the personal Gmail accounts of U.S. government employees. Although the company believes it has taken appropriate steps to remedy or remediate identified activity, users should exercise caution and follow best practices in order to protect personal email and prevent the compromise of government and personal information. It then recommended best practices for department users and their family members to follow, including avoid conducting official department business from your personal email accounts. Okay, so I know that was a lot, but then Q gives a link to this document itself. Right here. And that document itself is where it comes from. And that document is actually, if you go all the way up to the top, you can see this document is from the Office of the Inspector General, and is the Office of the Secretary Evaluation of Email Records Management and Cybersecurity Cybersecurity Requirements from May 2016. Interesting. So even then they're talking about how this has been an issue and an ongoing issue that the Inspector General had picked up on from Hillary Clinton, especially because later in this same report, just after this, it actually outlines all of the ways that Hillary Clinton had violated certain protocols and norms that would have been expected to have been followed by a high-ranking individual such as the Secretary of State. So this brings up a lot of questions, especially when it talks here about the Gmail accounts. I thought that was very interesting because think about what that's saying with the Gmail accounts. The Gmail account and Google saying that they knew or found out that there were online adversaries that are targeting the personal Gmail accounts of U.S. government employees. Well, let me ask you this. It says in this piece that Google brought that to their attention. But given everything we know about what Q has said in the past about Eric Schmidt, the head of Google, former head of Google, why in the world would we not investigate that further and look deeper into this and say, well, what information was Google using and selling and dealing in and giving to deep state assets? Who knows? Could have been giving it to the Chinese government for all we know. But we have to investigate these people, because if these crimes actually happen, I mean, they have to be brought to light. And it says, Q gives us a quote, as some compromised home systems have been reconfigured by these actors to automatically forward copies of all composed emails to an undisclosed recipient. Pages 34 or 33 and 34, the more you know, Q. So I'll leave a link to this document if you want to read. It's on pages 33 and 34. That's where we got these two quotes from. And if you guys want to go deeper into that, I'm going to leave a link down in the description. So you guys feel free to check it out. One thing that was interesting is that when I looked at this one article, I didn't bring this up, but I'll go over here real quick. It's an article from Microsoft that's kind of supposed to be a joke, saying, "Are Facebook, Instagram taking a Labor Day break?" You know, because it went down. It's just, that's exactly what these people, they think it's all a joke. Oh yeah, ha ha ha, it's so funny. It's a message. So that's the way I read it. Anyway, I wanted to bring that one to your attention. I hope that wasn't too late, but that's going to be it for this episode. I want to say thank you all for watching. Now, there's a few things you want to stick around for. First of all, if you want to help out the channel, best way to do it is to come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. The second best way is to help spread these videos. Share them, watch them, get the information out there, because the more you watch these videos, the more you'll know, to go out and do your own research and do your own logical thinking, and make a decision for yourself. And don't believe what the mainstream media just feeds you, or force feeds most of the people. I know most of you guys are pretty awake to what's going on, so I don't have to tell you. But for those of you who are new to this, just remember that you can think for yourself. You don't have to let the TV tell you what to think. Now, another great way you can help out is to obviously scroll down at the bottom of this video, leave your thoughts, theories, and insights in the comments, because I love when you guys contribute, and I love to hear what you guys have to say. And there's a great conversation going on down there with a lot of great people. So even if you can't comment, please scroll down and read through the comments. Also, you can come help me out by coming over to justinformednews.com. You can check out all my content. I'm going to be writing, hopefully get at least one piece up, either two articles that I've been wanting to write up tonight or tomorrow. But I did kind of take Labor Day off. I'm still here working on Q videos, but I took Labor Day off from writing, so the articles will be coming tomorrow. We'll have much more information there. But yeah, check out justinformednews.com. Be sure to check that out tonight and look at all the cool stuff, and there'll be new articles coming soon. Also, if you want to help out, come over here and find me on Twitter at Justin_formed. There's a lot of great stuff. I put a lot of tweets out here about, things that are cool. Also, a great thing is to come over here and check out, I get all my articles whenever I write them. I tweet them out. Also, all my videos, when they get posted, they get tweeted out. So it's a great way to get those notifications when this information comes available. Another great way to help out is to come over here if you want to help out financially. And I can't tell you what it means to me to have you guys come support this channel. It's a monthly donation. You just have to come to patreon.com. That's patreon.com. And you can go to, you can search Just Informed Talk, or you can go to patreon.com/Just Informed Talk. Either way, you'll come here to this landing page. You click this button to become a patron. It's a monthly donation, and it helps keep this channel alive. You guys are like the fuel that keeps me running, so I can go 24/7, 365, and keep, getting this bigger and bigger, and getting our message louder and louder, so that they have to cover it. And that's the real goal here. Is my first goal is to bring you the message of God, and my second goal is to get this message out, the truth as I see it. And I'm just glad you guys are on board. Also, another way, if you don't want to do the monthly thing, I made a GoFundMe page. So you can go to gofundme.com/just-informed. And when you get there, you click this button. It's a one-time anonymous donation, and it's really easy if you guys want to do that. So thank you. Now, before we go, I want to give you this story. And it's a story that I thought was important to share tonight, because it talks about what bread do we need to live? What is the living bread? And it is a great story. And this is out of the Gospel of John. And it talks about how, shortly after Jesus had performed a miracle and produced bread to feed many, he was called upon to show that he could do it again, because he was confronted by more individuals who couldn't believe that Jesus had done this miracle. And that's kind of the preface to the story. So they had just got done sailing, and this is where the story picks up in John chapter 6, 24 through 35. So you guys, let's listen to this. It says, when the crowd saw that neither Jesus nor his disciples were beside the sea, they themselves got into the boats and went to Capernaum, sorry, I'm mispronouncing that, looking for Jesus. When they found him on the other side of the sea, they said to him, Rabbi, when did you come here? Jesus answered them, very truly, I tell you, you are looking for me, not because you saw signs, but because you ate your fill of the loaves. Do not work for the food that perishes, but for the food that endures for eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you. For it is on him that God the Father has set his seal. Then they said to him, what must we do to perform the works of God? Jesus answered them, this is the work of God, that you believe in him who has sent, or him whom he has sent. So they said to him, what sign are you going to give us then, so that we may see it and believe you? He says, and what work are you performing? Our ancestors ate the manna in the wilderness, as it is written, he gave them bread from heaven to eat. Then Jesus said to them, very truly I tell you, it was not Moses who gave you the bread from heaven, but it is my Father who gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is that which comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. They said to him, Sir, give us this bread always. Jesus said to him, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. And that's what I wanted to share with you, that Jesus is the bread of life, and whoever comes to him will never be hungry. And if you believe in him, you'll never be thirsty. Because our souls and our lives with God are what are more important than anything here in this world. And it says right here, it says, but it is my Father who gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is that which comes down from heaven and gives life to the world. So I think we should all remember that in our lives, we can have these huge expectations for the world and expectations for ourselves, or our family, or our friends. But ultimately, strong devotion and belief in Christ and strong faith is the most important sustenance that we can receive. We may be satisfied by the way things turn out. We may be satisfied by relationships that we have, or events that come into our lives, or whatever it is. But true satisfaction, true sustenance lies within understanding that the bread of life is inside of each one of us, and it was given to us by the original bearer of that bread, Jesus. So that's where I want to leave it, and I want to thank you all for watching. And remember, if you guys like it, make sure you come here, hit that subscribe button. That's a big deal. It makes a big difference, and now's a great time to do it. But thank you so much for checking out Just Informed Talk. Don't forget to check out justinformednews.com and let me know what you think. And that's pretty much going to wrap it up. So thank you all for watching. That's going to be it for me. This has been Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.